You're listening to the third series of Behind the Rhymes, the mountain we all climb, with me, Maja.
And me, Andrew. The nest. Life's not an exam, it's a constant test. So today I started a fire in a hornet's nest. The smoke was thick, but I can see through. Does that make me blessed or cursed? I will leave that to you. The nectar is rich and sticky and sweet, makes no protest as it lands at my feet. The hive is gone to ash, the insects fly free, to sting me again and again, so vengefully.
What lies behind the poem The Nest, Andrew?
This is about deliberately starting an argument or causing an issue that you know is going to be destructive within a relationship. Either a relationship that's not doing so well or a relationship that's finished.
What is the smoke that you're referring to in the second verse?
That's the drama that surrounds starting an incident.
Have you started the smoke?
Yes. It's the person who wrote the poem that started the fire. So then there will always be smoke. I mean, you could connect it to, obviously hornets, no one uses hornets for honey, but like a bee's hive, if you like.
Yes, I can see the
smoke is made to make bees docile, but this is more to do with destruction.
Yes.
Because you don't use smoke or fire to kill bees, but this is more about destruction.
Yes, there's certainly an element of destructiveness and destruction in this poem. It's unmistakably there in the verses. The nectar lands on your feet, the hive is gone to ash, and the insects sting you vengefully. So is this about the end of a relationship?
Yeah, well, this is actually after relationships has ended. This is to do with, let's talk about the concept of relationships ending.
Yes, let's do that. Have you ended all your relationships in an argumentative way? Can you end a relationship in a nice way?
I have not managed to achieve that, and that's not always been down to my doing, I will say. I don't know, it's a relationship. So I would say if you have children, you would argue, and I certainly would argue, that your relationship doesn't end. Because there's always a connection, you have children. So whereas if you are, if you are married and divorcing, you have a house, once you've dealt with the financial aspects of that, then you deal with the emotional aspects of that. But when you have children, that relationship's never really finished, and so there's always flashpoints that can occur, and usually it's around things, disagreements that you may have with the child's other parent. So this really is about doing something that you know is going to cause a problem, but you do it with good intentions of having to do it for a good reason, a specific reason. It's not about causing mischief and causing pain. It's to be done for a reason.
And that reason is?
Again, if you're talking about this poem itself, this is about establishing another relationship after a long-standing relationship, and the fact that the other person hasn't been able to move on from the long-standing relationship, and so a set of circumstances arise and the other person has to move on where the other person hasn't moved on.
Do you think that it is possible to end a relationship in a cooperative way? You mentioned children. Wouldn't you say that it's even more important to put an effort
I would say that it is very important to put an effort in when you have got children. Now, my personal experience of this and experience of other people is that amicability when you have children, it is a rare thing. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is a rare thing. Let me flip that question to you, coming out of relationships where there are not children involved. How was amicability achieved for you?
Like you, in most of my relationships, certainly in my 30s, even early 40s, there was no amicable end, mainly because it is rare that, or at least in my experience, that two sides decide to end the relationship at the same point. However, after a lot of counseling, because I had a feeling that all of my relationships followed a certain pattern, I took up counseling. And I have to say that learning how to end a relationship in a amicable way, in a friendly way, which is something that I have done with the last relationship that I had before I met you, has been one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in my life. I remember doing the exercise in real time with the person that I was breaking up. I felt I felt that I would rather go to have my teeth pulled out than actually do that. To give positive feedback to someone that you had huge arguments with, to tell them why the relationship is ending from your perspective, what you appreciated about them. So it's not just giving fake compliments, it's actually going in depth and recognizing why were you in that relationship, what went wrong, how you were made to feel, and what you would take away, both the positives and the negatives from that relationship. That is a very, very difficult exercise, especially when you're in a scenario where emotions are high, just like in your poem, The Nest.
Yeah, it's not. We talked about this away from this podcast, and I when you told me that you'd done that, I really found it quite difficult to see why
you would put yourself through something like that.
Because it's already painful and in a relationship, but then to put yourself back in the pain again to try and process. So I kind of understand now that it's not so much closure for the other person, but it's closure for you. So you then can move on, and we've talked about baggage before, not take this baggage with you, although inevitably some baggage always comes, no matter how hard you try. But relationships end for many different reasons, and amicability, I've not seen or experienced amicability, and I'm very sad to say that I haven't really experienced amicability. And in the case of children and families that split with children, it's most difficult when there's no amicability, because the children really do suffer for that. It's bad enough that, all of a sudden you've got a nest that then is burnt, but then to not have the amicability, it's much more devastating for the children.
Yes, there is a theory that looking into the relationship, assessing it, and splitting amicably, it's mainly for your benefit rather than the other person's benefit. I remember my former partner, when I said the things that I was saying, he thought that I was trying to get back together with him, so I had to explain that that wasn't the case, that I'm just pointing out what were the reasons that I fell in love with him and why I had that relationship, why I put so much effort into trying to make it succeed, what it meant for me. And to say those things at the end of the relationship actually is a reminder of your involvement in the relationship, because the relationship is a two-side process. And I think when children are in question. As you know, I don't have children, but I do have nieces and nephews, and I, of course, know your children. To tell that to the children who were part of that nest is very important, because otherwise they're only left, especially if they were young when the relationship ended, they're only left with the negative sentiments about the relationship. And that is not a true reflection of that relationship.
All I can say is no matter how it ends, whether one person walks away, the other person walks away, or whether both agree to amicably walk away, it's painful. No matter which way it ends, even the person that walks away, it doesn't walk away without the pain.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I would like you to read The Nest again, now that we've discussed what lies behind the nest.
The Nest. Life's not an exam, it's a constant test. So today I started a fire in a hornet's nest. The smoke was thick, but I can see through. Does that make me blessed or cursed? I will leave that to you. The nectar is rich and sticky and sweet, makes no protest as it lands at my feet. The hive is gone to ash. The insects fly free to sting me again and again, so vengefully.
You've been listening to Behind the Rhymes, The Mountain We'll Climb, with me, Maja.
And me, Andrew. You can find all poems from this series in my book, From the Mountains to the Waterfall of Love and Relationships, which is available to buy at Amazon and Waterstones, where you can also find my first book, After the Applause.
Thank you for joining us on this poetic journey. And if you want to come on our real mountain hikes, have a look at our website, hikingthebalkans.com, and drop us an email at welcome@hikingthebalkans.com.